Yo, what's good, fam? Welcome to PNP. It is your boy Rashad, one half of PNP, and today we are going to fix the Panthers salary cap situation. Okay, the Panthers have a little bit of salary cap, and we're going to try to make that a little bit more salary cap space. Okay, I know this has been highly anticipated, so do me a favor, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell, get in the comments, and let me know what's good. Okay, if you're new here, hit the sub button, man. We greatly appreciate it. We're trying to get to 15,000 subscribers, and we need your subscription. So please hit that subscribe button. Now, this particular video is a follow-up on the sign or walk series. If you've been watching, I've been dropping mad sign or walks, and we've been saying, hey, we want to re-sign this player, or we want to let this player walk. Now, in order to re-sign those players, we're going to have to free up some salary cap space because the Panthers don't have enough, okay? Right now, we're sitting at $17.7 million in salary cap space, and that is before rollover, and that is before we take out any money for the draft class, okay? We're going to go get into this, but I just want to level set where we are right now before we dive into this video, okay? Let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so here we are. The Panthers are right now sitting at $17.7 million. All right, now I talked about it in the preview that we are going to be able to roll over $4 million from 2021. Okay, we talked about this on a Monday show. Again, don't miss out on the Monday shows. We go live every Monday, 8:30. Don't miss out. Okay, we talked about this on the Monday show. The Panthers can roll over $4 million to 2022. Okay, so that being said, we're going to be sitting at $21 million in cap space going into 2022. All right, now you also have to keep in mind that we're going to reserve $10 million for the 2022 draft class. That's important as well. So that being said, theoretically, we're going to be at $11 million in cap space. Okay, hope y'all follow me on that. Now, step one into looking at how we're going to free up some cap space. The first thing you want to look at is base salary. Okay, base salary is something that you can convert. You can convert a portion of it into a signing bonus and then prorate the signing bonus for a maximum of 5 years. Okay, that is very important. Again, I'm gonna give you some examples. Players with high base salaries and that are restructured candidates are Robbie Anderson, Shaq Thompson, Christian McCaffrey. I know he just restructured, but there's no limits to restructure. You can restructure as many times as you want. Sam Darnold has a high contract, but he's also on a 1-year deal. So we're not going to restructure that because there's nothing really to kick that over to unless you want to get into voided years and whatnot. So, and then that's a whole nother topic that we'll get into a little bit later. Taylor Moton, also a restructured candidate. Okay. DJ Moore is on a 5th-year option. You should be looking to extend him, and we're not going to go through that today, but you should be looking to extend him to potentially reduce this. But that's another way you could free up some salary cap space as well. Okay, so now that that's set, let's go ahead and try to go through a process, and then you'll see how restructuring can free up cap space. Okay, so now before we get into it, take a look at this 2023 number, because as we restructure, this number will drop. That's important. Restructuring is kicking can down the road. We're kicking the can down the road, and that's the nature of the game. You have to pay the piper at some point. Yes, we're playing with the money. We're maneuvering the money around, but at some point, you have to pay the piper. Okay? So watch this number. We're at 110 million. Watch as this drops. This is going to increase. That's the nature of the game. Okay? So let's go into an example here. Okay, so Robbie Anderson. We'll start with Robbie Anderson. He just signed an extension. Yes, and we're going to restructure that deal because we need the cap space right now. That's the purpose of a restructure, is to free up money in the short term. But again, it doesn't go away. You're just kind of moving it around. You're moving it around. The money does not go away. All right, so let's hit the restructure on Robbie Anderson. Now, with this restructure, as you can see, we're going to free up almost $6 million in cap space off of this restructure. Okay, that's what it looks like. So this base salary number is going to drop to the veteran minimum. The veteran minimum is based on how many years you have in the league. It differs for each player. Okay, so we're gonna hit this button and you'll see how it works. Again, I want you to watch this number and this number, and then you will see how it works. Okay, so hit the restructure button. Boom, restructure that. Now this number drops to 1 million, and now his salary cap number also drops, and we free up 6 million. Okay, and now you see what we're down to, right? We're down to 104 million in 2023, and we're also up. We moved this up to 23 million. And again, this is not based on the rollover, right? We didn't account for the rollover, and we're not accounting for the 10 million that you give up for. We'll calculate that at the end. So I hope I'm not confusing you guys. Okay, so 23 million is where we are right now. Okay, again, I want you to understand what happens to a restructure, because listen, we're moving money around. This $10 million drops, but look in 2023, his salary cap number now becomes $21 million. That is how restructures work. You're moving money around. It does not go away. I want that to be clear. The money does not go away. You're just moving it around. Okay. All right. So I hope y'all understand that. All right. And then the last year's contract is in 2023. All right. So again, let's take a look at Shaq Thompson. Shaq Thompson restructured his deal last year, but you can restructure again. 18 million. We'll see how that works. Let's go ahead and hit the restructure button for Shaq Thompson. Again, we're going to be able to free up 5.1 million. Watch this number. Watch this number. Watch this number. And then watch these two numbers, the 2022, 2023 numbers. Okay. All right. So let's get it. Let's hit this submit button. Boom. His salary drops to 1.1 million. All right. And then his salary cap number drops to 12.7. But then let's look at what happens. Now we're at 29 million. 29 million, but look what happens in 2023. Boom. We're now under $100 million. Let's take a look in 2023. Look what happens. Now this man has a salary cap hit of $24 million. It's the name of the game. Again, you're just moving money around. Let that sink in. That's important to understand. Christian McCaffrey, this is another restructure candidate. Okay. Again, before we get into that, I want y'all to look at his contract though. All right, because his number, and I know you can't see it off the edge, but in 2022, he has a base salary of 8 million, right? His salary cap number is 14 million. Not bad, right? Not too shabby. However, because he restructured already, and because he has so much money left on his contract, if you cut him or if you trade him, you are adding $12 million to the salary cap. That's why Christian McCaffrey is damn near untouchable. He's not going to go anywhere unless something crazy happens. He's not going to go anywhere because he's going to add to the cap. He's going to add $12 million to the cap. We have to go back and pay for all the bonuses. All this prorated bonus money, we're going to have to pay for it. Okay. All right. So we have to pay for the prorated base money, and then the teams take over the base salary. Okay. All right. So just keep that in mind. It makes more sense to look at his contract after next year. After next year, you can cut him or trade him and only have to eat $4 million. Okay. Keep that in mind. All right. So we're not going to touch Christian McCaffrey. We're going to restructure his deal, but we're not going to cut him. We're not going to do anything like that. So again, we're just looking for options to free up salary cap space right now. I'm just giving you the options. Again, I'm not saying that the Panthers are going to do all of these. I'm just giving you the options. Okay. So we're going to hit the restructure button here, and we're going to free up 5.6 million. Okay. Let's see what happens. Boom. Hit the restructure button. $5.6 million freed up. His salary cap drops to 8.6. His base salary drops to 1 million. Okay. And now look where we are. 34.8 million in salary cap space. And now 97. Oh, this number continues to drop. Now let's see what happens. And because his deal goes out further to 2024, this number will also drop. Okay. So let's see. Let's take a look. Christian McCaffrey, his cap hit becomes 19.6 million in 2023. In 2024, 19.6. In 2025, 15 million. And that, again, look at where that changed. Okay. This was the number before. These were the numbers before, right? And now these are the numbers after. 19, 19, 15, and then so on and so on. Okay, so again, I just want you to understand what happens in a restructure scenario. All right. Now let's look at some more. We'll talk about Matt Paradis in a second. Okay, we'll talk about him in a second. His situation is interesting, but we'll save him for last. Okay, don't let me forget. All right, so now Sam Darnold, we're not going to touch his deal either. I think it's best just to let him go away. Okay, just pay that $18 million and let it and get it off the books. He's not the answer, not a long-term answer. Get him off the books, pay the $18.8 million, and let it go. Okay, sometimes you just got to eat it. Okay, pause. That's where we are with Sam Darnold. 18.8, we're going to leave it alone. Even if you cut him, you're still going to pay him $18.8 million. It's fully guaranteed. It's a 50-year option. It's going nowhere. All right, it is what it is. Now let's take a look at Taylor Moton. Let's restructure his deal. Boom. We're going to free up $11.3 million. Now we're talking. Okay, boom. We're going to submit that. Drop his base salary to $1 million, a little over $1 million. His cap number drops to $7 million. And now let's see where we are. $46 million in cap space available. This drops to $93 million available space. Okay. Now keep in mind this number will continue to drop because as you extend players, you're adding new money into 2023. So this number is going to drop. We re-sign Hassan Reddick. That number is going to drop. You re-sign a Stephon Gilmore for a 2-year deal. That number is going to drop. Anybody that you re-sign for multiple years, it eats in the 2023 number. Okay, let's keep that in mind. Okay, so this number is going to continue to drop. But the good news is that Sam Darnold will be off the books. Hopefully, we'll have. This is where you start thinking about scenarios about drafting a quarterback. Because if you draft a quarterback, that quarterback will be on a rookie deal. Right. If you don't draft the quarterback that's on a rookie deal, you're going to end up having to pay a massive amount to a veteran quarterback. All right. So just keep that in mind about the quarterback situations. This is why I be on the fence. About drafting versus picking up another veteran because it affects our future salary cap. All right. So I think that's all the restructures we're going to do. I think that's all the restructures that we're going to do. Now we're going to take a look at some candidates that we can cut. OK. DJ Moore is another interesting topic that we can save for a little bit later. We'll get into him a little bit later. I'll hold that thought on him. So Cam Irving. All right, let's talk about Cam Irving. Cam Irving is interesting because I think he's a solid depth piece. Okay, listen to what I'm saying, y'all. Not a starter. Depth. Okay, I don't want him starting, but in a pinch, I think he can be serviceable. In a pinch, if your left tackle goes down. Maybe you throw him out there again in a pinch. So, but I don't think he's an answer. I'm going to go ahead and cut him. He's on a 2-year deal, I believe. So we're going to go ahead and submit this cut. We're going to end up having to pay him the $4 million. Okay. And now we freed $2 million in cap space cutting Cameron Irving. Okay. All right. So that's one cut you can look at. Let's see. Another cut you could potentially look at is Pat Eflin. All right. So again, this is another one. I think the depth. I'll take the depth. Depth is solid. He's a solid depth piece. Okay. I don't think they're going to cut him, but if we do, you make this cut and you free up $2.3 million. Now let's see where we are with the cap space. Boom. $50.5 million. That does not include the rollover. The rollover gets us to close to $55 million in cap space. You take away the 10 from the draft picks, and now you're at $40 million in cap space. Not too shabby. That's enough to work with. Now, another cut candidate that we could talk about is AJ Bouye. AJ Bouye, if we cut AJ Bouye, all right, because the cornerback room is nice. The cornerback room is nice, okay? If we cut AJ Bouye, we can free up another $3.5 million. Okay. Now let's keep looking at some other guys. All of these guys are pretty much on rookie contracts, but there's some other onesie twosies that you can get rid of and free up a little bit of cap space here and there. Now let's go back to our special situations. Okay. Let's start with Matt Paradis. Special situation because he has voided years on his contract. Let's take a look real quick. Matt Paradis. All right. So he has voided years on his contract. The interesting thing with him is that he is technically not on the roster. He's technically not on the roster. However, he's still getting paid. He still has a cap number of $8.2 million. Because that's what happens when you kick money down the road and you do those restructures, which he did. He restructured his deal last year, and now we have the $4 million that we need to pay this man. Well, technically he's already been paid, but from a salary cap standpoint, it's still on the books. Okay. So that being said, what do we do with this contract? Okay, let's see what happens. If we do not reach a deal, or just kind of let this contract expire, if we don't reach some sort of agreement at the expiration of this contract, this money accelerates. This money accelerates and become fully, it shows on our books, the $8.2 million. So whether he's on the roster or not, he is going to be paid $8.2 million. Okay. This is what this says. So this contract voids February 10th. His contract voids February 10th. If we do nothing, if we take no action, and we don't come up with an extension by February 10th, this contract is these 2 years accelerate, and we pay him $8.2 million. He's on the books, whether he plays or not. That's where you get in trouble, right? That's where you have to pay the piper at some point. This money, even with restructures, does not go away. It does not go away. Okay, so keep that in mind. He's on the books, whether cut or not. He is on the books. And I do not have clarity around whether you can do a post June 1 cut, which means you can spread that money out. I don't think that's the case for the voided contracts. I have to get a question out to my contact about that. But I do not think that's the case. By February 10th, if we do not come up with a contract, that accelerates, and we owe him that $8.2 million, whether he is on the roster or not. Okay, I hope you guys understand that. DJ Moore is on his 5th year option, right? So 11.1 million, fully guaranteed. It is what it is. Now the Panthers can go in and extend his contract, and I'll go into that when we get into the extension portion of this. It won't happen in this video, but maybe the next video we'll talk about extensions. If we give him new money in his contract, he may be willing to negotiate this base salary and drop it down depending on the base salary, depending on the bonuses that we give him. So this could drop a little bit if DJ Moore wants to negotiate. So we could drop this down a little bit, and then you could free up some more space there. Okay. Again, look at where we are. This does not include the rollover. This is not. So all that being said, right? Stop telling me we don't have the space. Stop telling me we can't do this, we can't do that because of space. 51 or around 50 million or around 45 million, whatever you want to call it, minus the draft space. If we make the appropriate moves, we can get to an amount where we have enough space to re-sign a Hassan Reddick, to re-sign a Stephon Gilmore, to re-sign all these guys, and potentially make a little bit of splashes in free agency. Okay. So stop telling me. I hate when people say, oh, we can't afford it. We can't do it. We can't. You don't have the forward thinking brain yet. You don't understand what we can do to free up space. That's okay. That's why you're here to learn. But stop telling me what we can and can't do without understanding what we can do to free up the space, right? We have to have a forward thinking front office. Scott Fitterer has done it. I think he's going to do it. Again, going back to last year, keep in mind, going back to last year, we only had $30 million in cap space. $30 million is what we had in cap space, okay? We were still able to make a little bit of moves. We made a little bit of moves. So let's see what we did in free agency last year with $30 million. We picked up Sam Darnold. I know. But we picked up David Moore. We picked up Dan Arnold, both of which those guys are not on the roster anymore. We picked up Cam Irving, Pat Eflin, Daquan Jones, Morgan Fox, Hassan Reddick, Denzel Perryman, AJ Bouye, Rashawn Melvin, and Delano Hill. I know a lot of those guys are not on the roster anymore, but the point is that we were able to make moves. So stop telling me we can't do this and we can't do that. Now, also when it comes to free agency, keep in mind, free agency players have to want to come play for the Carolina Panthers. Stop saying that we need to go out and get the best person available when the best person available may not want to come to Carolina. Okay? You may have to pay a little bit more to entice them to come here. All right? So, All that being said, I got us from 17.7 million all the way up to $55.5 million in cap space with a cut here and there. And I think all those moves, none of those moves should be off the table, right? Cutting AJ Bouye. Look at the cornerback room. I think we can move on from AJ Bouye. I'm pretty confident if you bring back Stephon Gilmore, I'm confident that we can move on from AJ Bouye. Cutting Cam Irving, cutting Pat Eflin, that's dead weight. Though none of those should be off the table. Restructuring those 4 guys that we restructured, none of that stuff should be off the table. And when those moves start to happen, just come back here and said, you were right, Shad. That's all I'm saying. Those are some things that we can do to make space for the salary cap, all right? Again, if you have any questions, post them in the chat, man. I'll answer to the best of my ability, or I can reach out to my contact. If I don't know the answer, I will tell you I don't know the answer. And I'll reach out to the contact that I have that can help me out and help address the questions that you have, all right? Like I said, like, subscribe, notification bell, get in the comments, let me know what's good. I'm out. Peace.